Hello, world. Welcome to the Less is More podcast. I'm your host, Radio Rebel, or you can call me Noah. Today, it's January 28th. My birthday's actually tomorrow, turning 22, so I'm excited. Episode 1. I've always wanted to make a podcast. I've always kind of just listened to them when I was younger. I don't know where to start exactly, just because obviously I've never done this before. I'm no podcast expert, but I wanted to make this episode because I know there's people out there. I know there's someone out there that's not having the best day, whether it's, just had a falling out with someone, or, you just broke your foot, or you lost your job, or whether it's something big or small. I know there's someone out there having a rough day. So I hope this can be kind of just a moment, or, 20, 30 minutes. I don't know how long this podcast is going to be, just because, there's only so many things I could talk to nobody about. We don't have a guest today. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you're having a shitty day, just maybe take a minute to take a deep breath. Just listen to the soothing, sexy sound of my voice, and, maybe it'll calm you down a little bit. I'm coming to you from New York. I don't know why I'm in New York, to be honest. I think it's maybe just a little bit of a quarter-life crisis. But I booked this trip a month ago, just when flights were on sale. I kind of just sent it, So, if you were wondering what your unemployed friend is up to, this is it. Just hanging out here. I went for a little walk around the town. This is only my second time here, so if there's someone out there that's familiar with New York, maybe let me know what there is to do. I'll probably be gone by the time this is uploaded, but maybe for my third trip here, I'll check out what you guys have to say. So back to the why of this podcast, episode 1. I've always really liked podcasts. I don't know what it is about it. Something about just how expressive it is. Someone can just sit down and vent all of their thoughts. And personally, growing up, I haven't always been the most social person. So sometimes I would, just hang out in my room and listen to a podcast. None in particular that I'd recommend, mostly just kind of random. And additionally, just vlogs in general. I'm a big fan of vlogs, and I'm not always watching them, even though they're videos. A lot of times I'll just turn them off and listen to them. Something about just having someone's voice going on, it almost kind of calms me down when I'm nervous. So hopefully, again, someone out there maybe this helps you out. And also, excuse me for the lack of quality on this. In case I think I turned all the fans off in here, but that's also not the point. I don't want this to be a super high quality production. Obviously, there's no video along with this podcast. I kind of want it just to sound like it's me and you, whoever you are. Just, like we're on a phone call. Just you and your buddy. Just blabbing. I'm a big fan of quality over quantity. Oh, no, I said that. Yeah, no, quality over quantity. So I don't think it's necessary to have a super high quality, setup and whatnot. I think as long as you're coming from a good place and you're trying to put something thoughtful out there, I think that's all that really matters. So, maybe episode 2, I'll be in the middle of walking down a busy street. You guys will barely be able to hear me, but as long as I've got something that I think is important to say and important for you guys to hear, then, I'm going to do it. And I think, like I said, I want this to kind of feel like a phone call with your friends. And it's not like you're always just sitting down in a quiet living room when you're talking to your buddy. So let's get into it a little bit more. As I mentioned, I'm coming to you from New York. And I think It's something about the city was just kind of calling my name. I came here about a year ago with a couple buddies for the first time, and it was just the most amazing time. I mean, there's no other city like it, and I would definitely love to live out here sometime in the future. But lately, I feel like when I've been walking around, it's kind of like I'm in a glass box, and I don't know what it is. I try to just put my head down and go day to day. I'm a student, so I try to go to class and do my work, be a good student, good friend, and whatnot. But something about lately, it feels like I'm in a glass box, and everywhere I go, someone's giving me kind of a weird look, and something just doesn't feel right. So maybe that's why New York was calling me, because I mean, obviously there's so many people, and I think that's an appeal for a lot of people. Anyone can come here, be whoever you want. Um, and yeah, I think that's where I've kind of been at. Just a little lost and confused, maybe trying to find some answers here in New York. But yeah, I thought maybe there'd be some answers out here. And I mean, what better place to make a podcast, right? The interesting thing about podcasts to me is it's a longer form of entertainment, which I feel is a dying art in today's world, especially with the new digital age where everything is so fast paced and everything is constantly trying to get your attention. And this is definitely something I'm learning. Like I mentioned, I'm a student actually studying marketing, and one of the biggest things you learn in marketing is how important it is to just grasp someone's attention and to keep it for as long as you can. And normally it's not for very long, especially today. People's attentions are getting slower and slower. I can speak firsthand. I can tell you, I've been on my phone since I was probably 12 years old, and I can really tell. One of my favorite aspects of podcasts is that it's a long form of entertainment, which today I feel is definitely a dying art, especially with social media and the digital age. Everyone, everywhere, all the advertisements, all the companies, all influencers, they're all trying to grab your attention, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I just feel like there's something special about a longer form of entertainment where you can sit down, it's a little bit slower. I think it gives you a little bit more time to reflect on not just the content, but everything around you. It gives you moments to take a second and think about how it affects you, reflect about your life. So if there's any pauses during this podcast, like I said, I'm not an expert. This is episode 1. I've never made a podcast before. But if there's any moments of silence on accident throughout this podcast, maybe, it's just an opportunity for you to, take in what's around you just for that much longer. I mean, it's very important. People say sometimes, I'd rather watch paint dry on a wall, but I genuinely think that could be beneficial. And I mean, today, with all the brain rot going on, sometimes I really do think like I would rather sit here and look at my wall. That's not to shit on influencers or anything like that. I just think it's really important to focus on yourself first. So yeah, maybe right now just take a second to maybe you're walking down the street, maybe you're hanging out in your room, maybe you're in your car. Maybe just take that much more time to think about yourself. Put yourself first. Think about what's around you. Yeah, mental health is important, guys. So maybe just take a second to think about yourself. And on the topic of social media, I wanted to bring up a point. I recently heard someone draw a comparison between social media and big tobacco, which caught me because I'd never, correlated the two. And then when someone else did it, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Not necessarily from a product standpoint, maybe, but the people in charge, at least, I think they both kind of have similar approaches to, I mean, they're both very addictive, first off. And I think, the people at the top of those companies, they are kind of exploiting, or no, what's the word? They're kind of turning a blind eye to the negatives and, driving whatever will hook their customers onto the product at any cost, even if it's not good for their health. And I think you see this with, obviously big tobacco. I mean, cigarettes and tobacco, it's more of a physical attraction, physical addiction, whereas social media, it's all psychological. But I think they both have psychological commonalities. Cigarettes, we saw big tobacco turn a blind eye to all the health warnings and cancer, all that kind of stuff. And social media, how do I put this? Guys, this is exactly what I'm saying. I lost my train of thought, so I went right to ChatGPT about this whole social media tobacco. So essentially, the point I'm trying to make is that they both make money off of you being addicted to their product, even though their product does not prioritize your health. Not only does it not prioritize your health, but it's bad for your health. And another point that they both do is they focus on young people, because the younger you are, not only the easier you are to be enticed for something you don't know, the easier you are to get addicted. And then once you're addicted, there's just that much more life in you where you're a customer, where you're giving them your money. And so, yeah, I think, guys, it's important to focus on, your health. Think about, how does this impact my health? Is this the best thing for me? And yeah, I think it's okay to be bored. I think it's okay to be bored. I think it's something we need these days. We can only give so much dopamine in one day, and it's just constantly everyone's trying to draw your dopamine. I think it's fine to just relax, and maybe you are a go person, and I think that there's something to be said about that, the hustle and bustle, but just make sure you're winding down, make sure you're taking things easy, and yeah, definitely just care about the people around you. I think that helps a lot. That's something in my personal life that, if I didn't have the people around me, I would be even more lost than I am. I feel really grateful that there's a number of people I can reach out to if I'm really feeling down. And maybe you guys out there, maybe there's one or two. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this podcast in terms of outreach, but my goal, I would say, is maybe this reaches one or two people that get something out of it, whether it's just slowing down, whether it's you feel a little bit better after hearing some random guy kind of just talk a little bit, take up a little bit of your time. Yeah, maybe you can just take away one small piece of advice from this and feel a little bit better. Yeah, my goal for this is definitely just to reach one or two people. And yeah, definitely let me know, leave a comment what you guys want me. This is kind of an experiment. I'm thinking maybe I'll make a couple of these and kind of see where it goes. Like I said, I kind of just like podcasts. So I'm kind of just, doing this on a whim. But let me know what you guys are interested in. I'm not sure how, what my audience would kind of be like, what those one or two people would look like. If you're older, you're maybe out of luck. I don't really know too much about what old people like. solitaire, newspapers, tea. I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a younger guy from California. I'm a student. I like doing pretty much everything. Like going outside, like staying inside, like watching shows. I'm a big fan of basketball, NBA. So I'm flexible, guys. Whatever you guys want me to talk about, if it's something new, I'll try to look into it and tell you guys about it. If it's something I know about, can tell you from experience. But yeah, I suppose this podcast would kind of just be for people in similar demographic, younger people, Gen Z, other people that are lost and confused and don't know, what to do. Not to say that I don't know what I want to do, but, definitely just kind of at that point where looking for a little direction. And that's why I say I think this might be a little bit more beneficial for people around my age and demographic. Because, when I talk to my friends, a lot of them also kind of feel the same way. We're all kind of in college, after college, before college, but we're getting to this point where we have to grow a little bit more and more independent every day. And I think a lot of us, or maybe not a lot of us, but personally, that's kind of daunting, a little scary. Just because I feel like growing up, I've been so reliant on my friends, always hitting them up to hang out, play basketball and whatever. But yeah, I definitely, not to say those days are long gone, but I think it's just we're getting to a point where it has to be more independent. You have to focus on your own future. You can't just focus on your friend's future and, tell them what to do. We're getting to this point where, hey, you're going to have to get a big boy job. You're going to have to focus more on yourself. And I've heard from people, some friends, and even just online, people after college, and this is what I'm scared about because that's right around the corner. But they say that post-grad life is depressing, and yeah, I mean, especially with what I hear about just how work culture has been in the past. I think my biggest fear is working in a cubicle for the rest of my life, and I don't think I'm the only one. I think that's a growing concern with younger people. There's this influencer business lady that I've seen on LinkedIn. I think her name's Gabrielle Judge, and she's inspiring because, let me tell you, anything I've seen from her, she's basically just like, fuck all this old, work life that we've been, historically subject to, where, the boss lays back and, tells you to work 12 hours a day, and then you gotta work overtime, and you gotta basically just give up all your passions and all your fun time just to, push whatever their quota is for the business, put the business ahead of your own health and your own well-being. But like I said, this lady, she's got her own business, I believe, and I think she's definitely one of the younger people that is kind of pushing forward this idea that, hey guys, we should put our own well-being. Why would we put, some numbers for a business above our own well-being? Especially when it's totally possible to be profitable. I mean, she's really successful from what I've seen. And she talks about how, hey, I just gave my employee, a bunch of time off, and, the business is still doing great. So it just kind of makes you think where things are going and how things are changing. And yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about kind of just the generational differences. Yeah, my parents were both lifelong teachers, and I think they were definitely more accustomed to that kind of traditional lifestyle, and it's just definitely something that's changing in recent years. We see more and more people doing apprenticeships or just bypassing college and still being, really successful. So yeah, I'm very interested to see kind of where that takes us. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I think ideally, maybe work in a cubicle for a little bit, but not my whole life. I think it'd be fine if I was in a place, an area that I like, such as New York. I mean, the city is so beautiful, and just all the people walking around. You see so many different faces. Back in California, we also have a lot of diversity in California, but it's nothing compared to New York. I mean, you got big and tall, you got, I don't really know what other comparisons, but you got all sorts of people, is the point I'm trying to make. All sorts of personalities. The fashion is, sometimes I'll see people wearing some wild outfits, but I'm like, I can still get behind that. Personally, I'm more of a jeans and t-shirt type of guy, but that's definitely not something I was able to get away with this time. I mean, it is, I don't know when this is going to be uploaded, but there was just a massive storm, so it is, as the New Yorkers say, it's mad brick out. It's like 10 degrees and it's like a foot of snow. It's crazy. I was getting a tan in California last week. I mean, that's not the case here. It is freezing. But yeah, I don't mind it. Something about the cold, something about the snow. It's fun just because I'm so not used to it, being from California. Yeah, I guess something on the same note as the workplace that I saw. I just recently read in the news that Amazon dropped something like 16,000 jobs, and they're replacing them with AI, which, that's also been another concern, this whole AI thing. I think it's good. I got a buddy, he seems like he's kind of terrified of it, a little bit more like Terminator. I think that's where he thinks things are going. It's definitely a little scary, just because, even when you ask the experts, it's like you can only know so much about the future. It's just one of those things where I feel like we're all a little bit in the dark. All we know is that everything is gonna change. Yeah, I saw a Mr. Beast video where he's literally having flying cars, and I'm like, that's where we're getting to. But yeah, it's interesting to see where this AI is going to take us. Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more of what young people have to say about AI. So if you're a younger person, maybe let me know what you think about this whole AI thing. Because, we're the future, we're going to have to bear the consequences, or, we're going to be the ones living with AI, so it's a little scary. But let me know what you guys think about, is it good or bad? I feel like if people seem so black and white on this issue, like half the people are like, oh, it's great. Half the people are, oh my God, we're doomed. So, let me know. As I said, I like to, be a little bit more positive about things. But yeah, I can definitely see what people are saying from an environmental standpoint, which is funny because when you ask the pro AI people, they say, well, energy is going to be so much more efficient. We'll be able to save the environment. But, then you look at another aspect. Just water usage alone, I know every computer, that's run by AI and whatnot, they all use water. And if I can only imagine how much water is going to be not wasted, but used. If we just keep growing the number, scaling up. And, it's confusing stuff, it's scary stuff, but but we'll see. I know I read some kind of stat that like every time you ask ChatGPT a prompt, it's using like a cup of water or something like that. Um, so that's a lot of cups of water. That's a lot of cups of water if you got a billion people, typing away all the time. So, but like I said, I'm no expert. I'm no expert on anything. I don't even have my degree yet. So let me know what you guys think about this issue. All right, guys, I forgot another little thing. I don't know much about where I want this podcast to go, but there is one thing I do know, and that's I want to have a little song of the day every time. So, song of the day today, Follow God by Kanye West. It's a great song. Check it out. There's a line in that song. It goes, "People really know you. Push your buttons like type right." Guys, Kanye West really hit it with this one because, people, that's the thing, especially today. I got a couple of roommates and they're always rage baiting each other. And, it's funny there, but if you're listening to this and someone is messing with you and whatnot, just know it's because they know you. They're trying to push your buttons. They're trying to get under your skin. Just don't let them. The best advice I can give is just be the bigger person. If they're really stooping on that level, they're focusing on you. They're putting all that time and energy on you. So, they're basically your fan. And, just don't let it. That's the song of the day. I'm going to try to do that every podcast, every episode. I'm not sure how many of these there will be. But how about this? If this gets 10 listens, I'll make a few more podcasts. Might be a little bit selfish, just because I'm kind of having fun with it. I'd be doing this a little bit more for myself. But like I said, I also kind of want to, put something out there for maybe one or two people to get a little something out of. But yeah, if you're one of those people that's, pushing buttons like type right, just be fucking kind. All right. Just try to help someone out. I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to help someone out. I see just a lot of people are sad today, and I can speak personally. Like, I'm someone that tries really hard to not be sad. I try really hard to, always have a good mindset. And as someone who's constantly trying to do that, it doesn't work. So, or at least it doesn't work all the time. So, if you're out there and you're feeling down, just know I'm thinking about you, man. Or if you're thinking about your girl. I wonder what the demographics are going to be. I wonder if it'll be just 50-50 girl and women, or girl and men. I don't know why I can't talk, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Help each other out. And I think, guys, one thing that I've learned, just from trying to, make friendships and whatnot, is sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing. I think that's a really big thing. Sometimes, and this is where I think it's important to just kind of get a feel for what other people are thinking, like, not necessarily social cues, because I know that's sometimes people aren't always the best with social cues, but just try your best to kind of see where other people are coming from, whether it's, you just know kind of the city they come from, or, a little bit about their family, their friends. Like, try to kind of see where they're coming from, and maybe, they're having a hard time, and maybe, they're the type of person that genuinely just, likes to be a little bit more independent. Maybe they like to kind of just hang out on their own. So maybe the best thing is to, let them do that. But yeah, on the other hand, maybe there's someone that is normally outgoing, but now they are, quiet. I think that's a good time to maybe step in and, maybe even just ask how their day's going, just a hello. I mean, that's something I learned. I mentioned that I'm studying marketing at college, but I'm also studying some foreign languages. And just for instance, I was trying to learn some Italian last year, actually just the last couple years. But one thing I learned from that is, I always thought that in order to learn another language, you had to, put in a bunch of work and, just study a lot and eventually you'll be fluent. But I think what's really underrated is just knowing simple things. Like, you could know maybe just a few words and still have such meaningful connections and conversations with people. I mean, I can tell you, I visited Italy for a little bit and I got to practice a little bit of my Italian. And there's so much you can get out of by just saying hello, just saying how are you. You don't need to have a full conversation, an in-depth conversation about the news and what's going on in the world and, what's around you. You don't need to always have all that, Sometimes you just need to know how to say hello, know how to say bye, and even just the effort of doing that, going out of your way and saying something at all. Sometimes that can mean a lot to someone. So I would encourage you guys to just keep that in mind, I suppose. Yeah, that's definitely something. I mean, that's one of my goals, definitely, is to learn some languages. And I think that's maybe another driving force for New York. I mean, there's probably a couple thousand different languages and cultures here. And yeah, I guess that just goes along with what I was saying earlier about just how many different people are here and the diversity. So yeah, maybe that'll take me to different parts of the world and whatnot. Yeah, I wonder if there's someone listening to this that's not from the United States. We'll see. Maybe let me know. Well, yeah, guys, I don't know how much more there's or what else there is to really talk to you guys about. Maybe I'll come back with another episode next week. Let me know if there's someone out there. If there's one person out there that's listening to this right now and you listen to the whole episode, let me know your name, okay? Let me know your name, where you're from, so that I can remember that for the rest of my life. All right, because yeah, and anyone else out there, make sure you let me know. Just tell me anything about this podcast. Tell me how shitty it is. Tell me how, you learned something from it. Tell me anything. This is episode 1. I'm a little bit, confused, a little discombobulated. I just got off the plane last night, and but yeah, just let me know what you guys are thinking about this. If you guys are fucking with it, let me know. If you guys are not fucking with it, let me know. I don't know, just cyberbully me a little bit. I don't really care. Just let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what other topics, whatever you guys are interested in. Yeah, and hope you guys have a good day. And yeah, all the Epstein victims still need justice. So yeah, have a good day, guys.